So this one's for my parents out there. All the ones that have not done vulnerable conversations the whole time your kids were younger because we didn't know how. How do you start having those vulnerable conversations? How? Let me tell you. Kids want to know that you're not perfect. Kids want to know all the nitty-gritty that you went through. Anytime I need to talk about something that is vulnerable about myself and I bring it up, it instantly is opening that door because you're showing your imperfection first. You're not preaching. You're not telling them what they have to do. You are telling them what your parents taught you, how you totally screwed up, what you learned from it, what pains you felt, what consequences you got, and what you wish you would have learned and did instead. Do you think your teenagers, for example, talking about drugs even, drugs and drinking, if you would tell them the moments that you tested out stuff, got in bad situations, were scared, got in trouble, went to jail, lost stuff, whatever it was, do you think that they might actually listen a little bit better than you just saying, don't do it, it's not allowed? Do you think they might see you a little bit differently to be able to have a conversation or call you for help if they're in that situation and moment? You aren't their avenue and their scapegoat and their go-to if they see you as perfect. They will call anyone else or stay in that situation. I guarantee you. If you want to start having vulnerable conversations with your kids, you have to start by telling them your stories. The kids aren't the adults. They shouldn't be coming to you with vulnerable truth if you can't share yours. You're the parents. So stop trying to hide all of your shameful pieces. 1, stop shaming them. Might help you. 2, start sharing where you screwed up. If my mom would have told me, I didn't even know one of my brothers was from another marriage that I didn't know about. I thought that he was part of my other brother from the same dad, because there's multiple marriages that ended up being the small package that me and my sister and brothers are now. But I didn't know that. I didn't know she was a teen mom. I didn't know she was in a relationship with an alcoholic husband. I didn't know any of that crap to learn from it. To see how I was following her path. I didn't see any of it because she didn't show it to me. Some of those lessons are embedded in our DNA. They are ancestral woundings. If we aren't telling our daughters, especially, what man we actually look for and what we realized that the pattern was that we were dating and all of it, do you think that maybe, just maybe, you might save her from doing the same patterns, getting married to the same kind of man, instead of saying no or hiding it or shaming it or whatever, and we don't speak vulnerable truth, which means they don't feel emotionally connected to anything you're telling them. Instead of saying, don't drink and drive, you say, the one time I drank and drive, this is what happened. The one time I did this is what happened. And how bad it affected my life. That's why I don't want that for you, because I want better for you. I'm not perfect, and I don't expect you to be perfect, but I expect you to be able to ask for help if you need it. Just like I had to ask for help when I was hurting, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. Do you think they might connect to that a little bit more? Or when you were lost in your head, if you've ever had a suicidal moment, talking to your teens about that dark moment, the triggers that got you there, how you got out, what you know now, Do you think that might help your teenager if they're in a dark moment to be able to feel seen and heard if they come and ask for help from you? Are we giving them the tools and the trust and the connection to feel safe to ask you to help them in those very vulnerable times and moments? Those are pinnacle times in their life. So as a parent, doesn't that mean at the pinnacle times in their life, they should be like, we did our work to have them show up for you to be able to show up for them? That's a parent to me. A parent is not teaching me the basics and telling me the rules and laws that I can learn from anybody. The parent is teaching me our ancestral patterns that dad did, that mom did, that grandma did, that all of us did, that we should probably watch out for, that we should probably talk about and save each other with love, no shame, no judgment, and open and vulnerable truth. So if you want to start having these conversations with your kids because you haven't yet, start with your own story. I promise you, they will see you differently if you share your pain, not just preach what you expect. Because if they can't see that you rebelled against exactly what was preached to you, why can't we take what our parents did wrong with us? They only do as good as they know how to do in the moment. And we know when we're kids, we're like, that sucks, I'm never doing that, all of that. So use it as a freaking map and go, I'm gonna do this instead. But what I'm watching is parents doing the exact same thing they hated their parents did to them. Disconnecting and causing the disconnection in the exact same ways because you weren't taught how to be vulnerable. So instead of using the opposite to be your map, to know exactly what you need to do the opposite of. Because I don't care if your parents were the best parents in the world or the worst parents in the world, or you didn't have them. They taught you how to not do something, how to do something better, they gave you a level that you could use. If you're staying at that same level, then you have the same wounding and the same shame and the same, all of it that your parents did for you. And you are teaching them exactly what you hated. So if you want to change that, it means changing. It means being uncomfortable. It means being vulnerable. And I bet most of your spouses, if you're married, probably don't even know those stories about you either. Which you shouldn't be married to someone who doesn't know your vulnerable truth. But I bet you that they would appreciate knowing those imperfections just as much. I bet you feel freer being seen perfectly imperfect and not judging yourself for them anymore. Because they're not failures. They're all lessons that we were meant to learn and grow from. So choose to grow and not stay the same. Choose to grow and change so that you can change your children's lives. Because I know when I did that talking sex one, like talking sex with your teenagers, everybody instantly thinks, oh, well, you must be the friend mom. You must be the place where they were able to like drink and this and that and blah, 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 and have way less strict rules than I did. Bullshit. Any of the girls that grew up in my household or boys will tell you, my household, guaranteed, had more rules than yours. Guaranteed. I had a pee cup sitting on top of my fridge and sink for years. Do you want to know what it was for? If anybody, and they all know this, anybody that walked into my house that I thought was on drugs, smoked pot, any of it, they knew that I could ask them to pee in that cup instantaneously or they were never allowed back in my house. The kids would come in and narc on each other before anything. And they would tell each other like, oh, I got you, blah, 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 blah. As soon as they walk through the door and they look at me in the eye, Mom so-and-so did blah, 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 blah. Because they don't want to be the one in trouble. They didn't want to be the one breaking trust with me, because they know to earn trust back with me, not so easy. They didn't want to have their safe place that was outside of their home gone. I was the parent. My daughter will hate me for telling any of this stuff, but she didn't clean her room and she snuck out to go play. I was the mom coming out with the dirty underwear in front of the guy she likes going, Carissa, you still didn't clean up your room. I would embarrass the living crap out of her if her words and her actions did not match what I expected. I was the parent that was, if the girls were trying to sneak out, I was the one finding them on the front of the house going, really? Really? Is that what you think you're doing? One, your dad's on the way. We will be having a conversation on the front couch as soon as that's happening. And all of the crap. I was not hiding shit. I would bring the parents in. I would go talk to the parents about what they did. I would hold all of them accountable and still share the funny stories later, because you don't get to choose your consequences, sweethearts. You chose to do that shit. Guess what? It's going to be the funny story that I tell for years to come. You chose to do it. You don't get to choose how you like it plays out. That is what my household is and still was. Still is. How many of you have 20-year-olds that have moved out? Do you know what they're doing on a Friday and Saturday night? I do. My daughter calls me, tells me, and then when she gets there, most of the time she's calling me when she's there because everybody there wants to say hi to me too. Because I love all of them. Doesn't matter who or what. I've embraced them all. They all know that I see them. They all know that they can tell me anything. They can come to me with problems without my daughter attached. They can message me privately. They all know that. Are you a support system for many, or are you barely supporting yours? I think we should share our vulnerable truth. I think they want rules and structure. I think they don't want us to be a friend with a less structure and showing we don't care. They want us to see them. They want us to show our imperfections so that they don't feel like they have to be perfect. And by all means, I am not perfect. I sucked at a lot of things. My daughter will tell you. But I know that when I figured it out and I know better, I did better. I tried better every time I would learn something for her and for all the kids that came into my world. Because I know what I didn't get when I was a kid. And I promised myself no matter what, I will figure it the hell out to be better. To break these patterns, to have our babies see themselves and love themselves first, because they can see that we love ourselves, imperfect and all. So don't be scared to be vulnerable. Don't be scared to tell them what you did, because it will actually help them be better humans. I promise. Just saying. Good luck out there. Teenager years are hard. If you guys ever need tools, resources, anything, or just to like talk through a scenario or have a teenager that you have no idea what to do with, I'm always here to help. I love teenagers still. And it's funny, I call them teenagers still, even though they're in their 20s now. But have a good day, guys. Good luck.